Gotta be flipping my flapjacks for Jeremy to record a video this late. Something big has to be going down, and oh boy, do we got something big going on here. Okay, I gotta give my opinion on this. Gotta share perspectives. Gotta give you guys, the truth around this as well as my opinion. Okay, so if you haven't seen, big breaking news here just a bit ago came out. Tesla CEO Elon Musk sold 7.92 million shares of Tesla worth around 6.88 billion with a B dollars, according to a series of financial filings published Tuesday night. His transactions occurred between August 5th and August 9th. The SEC filing revealed following Tesla's 2022 annual shareholder meeting on August 4th in Austin, Texas. Okay, so first off here, a little sketchy, okay? A little sketchy. So the fact that this happened the very day after the shareholder meeting, a little strange. What I think happened here, as somebody that's followed Elon for a long, long time and seen everything he's been up to over time, what I believe happened here is I don't think he wanted to sell those shares right before the shareholder meeting, because here's the deal. If he had sold shares right before the shareholder meeting, that would have been the subject. That would have been what everybody was talking about when it came to the shareholder meeting. Oh, what's Elon got to say about selling Tesla stock, right? And so why not wait till the day after the shareholder meeting, and then you don't have to deal with that whole circus. Let's just call it that, okay? So that's what I believe personally happened here. So yeah, there's a large amount of money. I mean, nearly $7 billion. Even for Elon Musk, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's not a small amount, okay? Earlier this year, Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk had said on social media that he, quote, had no further Tesla sales planned after April 28th. Well, obviously, that was a, let's just call it false statement, because now we got about $7 billion worth of sales based upon SEC filings here, okay? That week, SEC filings had revealed Musk had been selling a block of shares in his electric car maker worth about $8.4 billion at that particular time. Now, a lot of this all centers back to this whole Twitter situation, which is the buyout, Elon's wanting to do with Twitter, which I've always been against. I've been 100% against the Twitter deal. Waste of time, waste of space. If Elon could make a way better, in my opinion, social media platform of some kind by using the money he was gonna use buying Twitter and doing something else with it. Twitter is, I try not to even go on that thing. It's just a mess, okay? And I think, almost all you guys, maybe a few of you absolutely love Twitter and you use it every day and you think it's the greatest thing. I think most of you guys understand, Twitter's a mess. And I don't think anybody can fix that, even the great Elon, okay? And so I've always been against that. I thought it was a waste of time. And here we are. Now we're in another situation involving Elon Musk, which is going to have to lead to a lot of questions now. Does Elon believe in Tesla? Why is he selling all these shares? Why would he sell Tesla stock to put money into Twitter? Does he feel like Twitter is a better ROI opportunity than Tesla? Is he just looking for a reason to sell Tesla stock? This leads to so many rumors, so many thoughts, so many worries now, all because of this Twitter deal, okay? And this is just what's going on, okay? No, somebody tweeted at Elon and says, "Are you done selling?" Elon Musk says, "Yes." But when you just said you weren't planning any more sales a few months ago, and then you sell, $7 billion roughly worth of stock, people are going to take your yeses like, maybe? In the hopefully unlikely event that Twitter forces this deal to close and some equity partners don't come through, it is important to avoid emergency sale of Tesla. Well, this is kind of an emergency sale anyways of Tesla, okay? Let's just call it what it is. So, I knew this. I knew it from the start, man. I knew this was going to have problems written all over it. And sure enough, look at this. Come on, man. Come on. Now, I thought this was a good comment here. Somebody says, what will you do if you're not forced to buy Twitter? And I think that's a good question, right? Well, now he's got $7 billion, let's say, sitting on the sideline. What do you do with that money? Are you going to put that money back in Tesla stock if this deal doesn't have to go through, right? And if you don't put the money back in Tesla stock, then why not? Do you not believe in Tesla at that point? Why not put the $7 billion back in, right? And so this is going to lead to another series of questions, right? Around if the deal doesn't go through, hey Elon, you're gonna buy back those shares you sold in Tesla? And then if he doesn't buy back those shares of Tesla, then everybody's gonna be looking at Elon and saying, Elon, you sold nearly $7 billion of stock. You didn't do the deal with Twitter. Why not? Why aren't you buying those shares back? I thought you're such a big believer. This is the problem with a deal like this. It leads to more distrust. It leads to more confusion. It leads to more drama. And it's exactly what is playing out here right in front of us. Okay. Now, in regards to Tesla, right? And, everybody's looking at this and like, oh boy, what's going to happen to the stock price? Okay. And as a shareholder of this company, I'll give my opinion on kind of how I think about this. And we'll talk about all those different things in valuation. We're going to go through all that. Okay. But here's the kind of this, in my opinion, there's three scenarios I can see playing out. Let's call it tomorrow and over the course of this week, in my personal opinion, in regards to Tesla. Okay. Now, this one, I think, a little more of a long shot, but it's a possibility. This is scenario one. This is a scenario that everybody's going to flip out tomorrow and be like, oh my gosh, Elon's selling a bunch of Tesla shares. Maybe he's going to sell more. Yeah, he said he's not going to sell any more, but, we've seen this story play out before. Maybe he's going to sell more in a month from now, a couple months from now, something like that, right? So it's going to lead to fear and fear and fear. So this is a scenario that could play out and the stock goes to like $750 or so, right? Now, that's where the stock just was back on July 19th. So it's not like that was that long ago. I mean, that's just a few weeks ago. Let's keep that in mind, okay? And so, you think about it like this, right? When in regards to Tesla stock, you got a lot of people that are long-term shareholders. This news coming out today, or any of the big bulls, the long-term shareholders of Tesla going to sell out of Tesla tomorrow? Absolutely not, okay? But the fact is, Tesla's stock price is moved very heavily by swing traders and, people doing a lot of different activity. It could be calls, can be puts, and people getting in, getting out, shorting stock, having to buy back shares. Like, the short-term movements in Tesla matter in a significant way to the short-term stock price, right? Because of all these short-term moves people are making. And so now you got a scenario where there's potentially a lot of fear in the market. So you could have some people that were maybe swinging this one, thinking there was a bunch more upside here. The stock has already lost momentum over the last few trading days, okay? The stock clearly has lost momentum. It topped about 925. We're down to 849 now. So it was already losing momentum. And now you have this whole situation that definitely gives, let's call it, more room to potentially downside there. So that's scenario one. Everybody flips out and then we're at 750, which is where the stock was just a few weeks ago. Okay. Scenario two. This, in my opinion, is the most realistic scenario that's going to play out here with Tesla stock. And that's in which Tesla stock tomorrow, over the next couple trading days, goes to somewhere in the high 700s, like 780 range, something in there. That's where the stock was at the end of July, roughly. And that's a scenario where it sells off because, there's definitely some fear. You lose some momentum when you're already losing momentum. Maybe the market's weakening a little bit, And that's definitely a scenario that can play out, right? Let's say CPI is not the best or something like that. That's definitely a scenario where you can see the stock at 780 pretty quickly and it loses. For Tesla, the thing is, Tesla, for this stock to lose or gain $50 to $100 a share, it does it all the time. I mean, you look at these moves in Tesla stock over just a period of a couple days or a couple weeks. I mean, this stock moves $50 to $100 all the time. So in a massive news article like this, where everybody's like, oh my gosh, Elon's selling $7 billion, to get this baby down to 780 or something, that's where the stock was just a few weeks ago. There's nothing hard about that. That's probably the most realistic scenario of these three scenarios, okay? Now, the third scenario, this might shock people, okay? It might shock people. I mean, really shock people that this is even a scenario, but it is a scenario. I'd call it a little bit of a longer shot, but it is a scenario, okay? And that would be a situation here where the stock price actually goes up, okay? Now, I think there would need to be two things. One is there would have to be a thought process in a way this is pitched where it is looking at it from the perspective of like, oh, Elon's not going to sell any more shares. If the deal doesn't go through, maybe he's going to spend a bunch of money on buying the stock back now, which is going to help the stock go up, right? And then let's imagine a scenario where CPI comes in, let's call it just much better than Wall Street had anticipated. So the market pumps in general. Plus, you have potentially a positive spin put on this situation somehow by Wall Street. That's definitely a potential, right? And we know there's a lot of Wall Street money in the stock nowadays. Many years ago, this was a stock that was very retail controlled this stock. That's gone, and that's long gone for a long time now. Because it became such a big market cap, this stock is controlled by Wall Street, okay? And so yeah, is it a scenario where the stock could go up? Yeah, if we get great CPI, the market flies high, and this is spun in an angle that it's like, oh, Elon's going to buy the shares back now, and we're going to have a $7 billion buy order coming in once the Twitter deal doesn't go through. Like I said, I think it's a little bit of a longer shot, but you can't deny the fact that it's at least a scenario to play out. It would be a scenario that would shock everybody, because there is a scenario, everybody's expecting the stock to go down tomorrow and the rest of this week. Everybody. No one's expecting the stock to go up. And we know Wall Street can be a little crazy sometimes, and just when everybody's expecting one thing, you get another thing. So like I said, this is a long shot scenario, but it is a scenario nonetheless, okay? Now, in regards to Tesla's valuation here. So the stock trades obviously rich, right? If you're going to look at it based upon any other automaker, even any other, let's just call it average stock in the stock market, right? Trades at 104 trailing PE. It trades at a forward P of 73. So a forward P is basically looking at, what's the expected earnings over the next 4 quarters. Trailing P is looking at the last 4 quarters, okay? And so that's very, very rich compared to the market in general. The market in general usually trades at a trailing P of 20 range, forward P of 15, 17, something like that. That's what you should usually expect to pay for stock. But Tesla trades rich because it has an incredible story behind it. It has margins that are just tearing it up. It has a revenue story as long as the eye can see for the next, let's just call it, decade or so. And so for those reasons, the stock deserves a big, kind of trades at a multiple, right? Also, do keep in mind that this stock is trading actually far cheaper than any time we've seen in recent history, other than, when the whole market had tanked essentially in June, right? I mean, if we go back to June 30th, 2021, the stock was trading at 672 trailing PE, 161 forward PE, right? And think about this. The market cap was lower then than it is today. And yet it was trading far richer. So how does that happen? Well, it's just Tesla blowing the doors off of profitability, right? And completely eating through the trailing PE and the forward PE, and just being far more profitable and expected to be far more profitable than really anybody anticipated back then, right? If we go back to September 30th, 2021, it was trading at a 401 trailing P and 104 forward P. If we go back to December 31st of 2021, there's 343 trailing P, 121 forward P. So the fact is, if you look at Tesla stock as trading far, pretty much the cheapest on valuation metrics that we've seen it ever trade at. Doesn't mean it can't go down. It's just, there's no shortage of buyers out there for Tesla stock because they see the revenue numbers, they see the profitability, they see the margins that just get better and better and better and better. And also it has an unbelievable long-term story here. And so I think a lot of people look at this and they're like, yeah, the whole Elon Musk sale, but does it really distract from what Tesla's going after and where their real opportunity is, right? So I think that's the way a lot of folks look at it, right? Now, it becomes a little more of an ominous, I guess we can say, thing when you have somebody like Elon Musk, who back at the end of 2021 had said he was predicting macroeconomics is challenging to say the least. He said, my gut feel is maybe around spring or summer of 2022, but not later than 2023, in regards to basically somebody was asking him when the next recession was going to be, okay? Here we are, we're in a recession, right? And I know the government's going to say this, and certain people are going to say, oh, no, we're not in a recession. Dude, you have 2 quarters of negative GDP. You're in a recession, right? Never mind the fact that consumer sentiment's about the lowest we've literally ever seen it in history of that survey, which is incredible, right? So we're in this time period here where, I hate to say it, but he's right on the button. We're in a recession, right? And like I said, they're going to try to make all these things. Oh, no. Dude, we're in a recession. That's just the bottom line here. And the question is, how big is the recession going to be? How deep is it going to be? That's the only question. Do we start to climb out at the end of this year, or do we have to wait to 2023? That's the only question, right? But it's an ominous signal when you see an Elon Musk selling a ton of shares, and when this was his feeling, okay? And here's what makes it even worse. Back in June, Elon Musk said he basically had a super bad feeling about the economy, okay? And this was back when they were going to cut staff by about 10%. And we've seen Tesla do some layoffs. We've seen Elon Musk talk bad about the economy several times now at this point in time. And then if you see him selling roughly $7 billion of shares, you start to look at all this and you're like, is he selling because he wants to just raise a bunch of cash because he feels like Either Tesla stock's going to go down a ton, or there's going to be other business opportunities out there and ventures that he can get into. And, as we know, if you go through a deep, bad recession, which that's a whole debate, is if we're going to go into a big, deep, bad recession, right? Like great financial crisis type scenario, right? But we do know what is king in that scenario. There's only one thing that's king. Cash is king, okay? Cash is king if you were to go through that type of scenario. Well, shoot, if Elon Musk doesn't have to do this Twitter deal and, he's got $7 billion sitting on the sideline, man, there could be a lot of attractive deals out there. Maybe let's imagine a scenario where Tesla stock falls 50% or something like that because of some huge recession and people aren't ordering nearly as many Teslas because the economy's in a bad place, whatever, okay? Let's just say that was a scenario. Well, then he can buy back shares for obviously substantially cheaper prices than what he sold at, right? And so that just kind of gives you a little more of like I said, it's more of an ominous feel and kind of a scary feeling when you have somebody. If he had never spoke bad about the economy, then you wouldn't have any of this. But when you're talking down on the economy and you sell, then people are like, oh boy, he's got to be prepping for something, right? Like I said, this all goes back to that whole Twitter drama and the whole Twitter deal, right? That's what it all comes back to, right? To add insult to injury, here's the deal. The stock market was the worst stock market for the first half of the year in 50 years. Okay? And 50 flipping flapjacking years, actually over 50 years. That was the worst first half for the stock market we had, basically January through June, since 1970. Okay? And so, yeah, you have Elon Musk saying all that stuff about the economy and the recession and And you have a stock market that's trying to show you the future, right? Because the stock market's usually looking out 3 to 9 months in the future. And, it causes more fear and panic, I guess you could say, in the market and those sorts of things in regards to stock, okay? Now, in regards to me personally, okay, and obviously I'm a Tesla shareholder and have been for, many, many years. For me personally, the way I look at this, okay, is I don't care. Literally, if Elon buys $7 billion tomorrow or sells $7 billion, for me personally, I don't care because I see Tesla going to where Tesla's going to go over the coming years. Okay. Do I think there's a possibility that Elon could be trying to hedge a little bit and trying to cash up in case he thinks, things could get much worse in the financial markets? It's definitely a possibility. That's just what I call like flipping a coin and just trying to say, maybe this is maybe that. But for me personally, it doesn't make a difference. And I think if you're a true Tesla shareholder, I don't think you really necessarily care about this. You're running your numbers on what you think Tesla's revenues are going to over the coming years, what you think their margins are going to be, what you think their net income is going to be, and what you think they should command for forward P, trailing P, based upon those sorts of growth rates and where you think that net income is going over time. So for you also likely shouldn't care about Elon. Like it's interesting, it's cool to watch and pay attention to, but for making a buying or selling decision for Tesla stock based upon Elon Musk buying the stock or selling the stock, I think is a little misguided. You need to be running your revenue projections, your net income projections, your margin projections out for future years, and then kind of figuring out and saying, you know what, Tesla's a great deal. I need to buy more shares, or I need to just hold what I have, or if you need to sell, you need to sell. But it should not be based upon what Elon Musk is doing or not doing with his Tesla stock, right? That's just my personal opinion. Otherwise, you're getting into more of a trading mentality of like, I got to get in, got to get out. Oh, Elon's doing this. Oh, I got to get in. Oh, I got to get out of Tesla stock. Oh, we might be going down, so let's get out of Tesla stock. Oh, it's starting to go up again. Let's get in. Then you start forming like a trader mentality brain, right? And for at least my folks that watch my channel, you guys are supposed to be long-term investors, right? And kind of viewing these things on multi-years out and, taking your profits. If you think a stock's, overvalued or fairly valued, you got somewhere else to put the money, fair play. But for judging off of these short-term things, a buying and selling decision is usually a mistake ultimately in the end, and it just causes you to go more and more down let's just call it the trading rabbit hole, which this whole stock market right now is rigged to make you more into a trader, which we know, almost everybody fails at being a trader. There's a few select ones that can make it, but almost everybody fails at being a trader. But this is a sort of market Drama, stocks dropping, people not making money. This is the type of market where people start saying, oh man, maybe I should become a trader, right? And there's a few that can make it, but most just can't in that game. Hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you didn't know, I got a brand new channel. It's called Jeremy Lefebvre Makes Money. You can literally type that in YouTube. Check it out. I only got 10 videos up there so far. I actually just made a video here earlier today on that channel. So I hope you guys enjoy that one. Thanks for everybody that's subscribed over there. I appreciate you guys. Much love as always. Don't forget to subscribe and have a great day.